বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম।
পরম করুণাময় ও অসীম দয়ালু আল্লাহ নামে শুরু করছি।
সমস্ত প্রশংসা আল্লাহ পাকের, যিনি বিশ্ব জগতের প্রতিপালক।
আর রহমানির রহিম,
যিনি পরম করুণাময়, অসীম দয়ালু।
মালিকি ইয়াউমিদ্দিন।
সিঙ্গাপুর, ভিন্ন জগতের অমৃত সুধার নাম সিঙ্গাপুর। এশিয়া মহাদেশের সমৃদ্ধ দেশ এই সিঙ্গাপুর। প্রায় 50 লক্ষ অর্ধযুক্তি মোট জনসংখ্যার 693 বর্গ কিলোমিটারের আয়তন। সিঙ্গাপুরের মাথাপিছু আয় প্রায় $24,000। দেশের প্রধান ধর্ম খ্রিস্টান, হিন্দু, মুসলমান হলেও চাইনিজ, মালয়, তামিল এবং ইংরেজি ভাষা ব্যবহার করা হয় দেশটিতে। মুদ্রার নাম সিঙ্গাপুর ডলার। এক সিঙ্গাপুর ডলার সমান প্রায় 52 টাকা বাংলাদেশি মুদ্রা। প্রাচীন কাল থেকেই দেশটি শিক্ষার জন্য সুপরিচিত হওয়ায় শিক্ষিতের হার এখানে 94%। দেশটি মালয় উপদ্বীপের দক্ষিণে অবস্থিত। 1965 সালে স্বাধীন প্রজাতন্ত্রে রূপান্তরিত হওয়ার পর থেকেই সিঙ্গাপুর উন্নয়ন এবং সাফল্যের চাবিকাঠি হিসাবে এশিয়ার এক অন্যতম ভূস্বর্গ হিসাবে রূপান্তরিত হয়েছে, যাহার ফলে সবসময়ই বিশ্বের গুরুত্বপূর্ণ স্থান রূপে পরিণত হয়েছে সিঙ্গাপুর। এখানে নিরাপদ, বৈচিত্র্যময় এবং আরামদায়ক পরিবেশে বসবাস করা সম্ভব। এদেশের উচ্চশিক্ষার পাঠ্যসূচি বিশ্বমান সম্পন্ন। পৃথিবীর প্রথম সারির 11টি শিক্ষা প্রতিষ্ঠানের শাখা রয়েছে সিঙ্গাপুরে। এছাড়াও দৃঢ় অর্থনীতি, উন্নয়ন, অবকাঠামো এবং নিরাপদ পরিবেশ যে কাউকে অধিষ্ঠিত করবে এখানে। সিঙ্গাপুর বিশ্বের অন্যতম পরিচ্ছন্ন এবং নিরাপদ শহর হিসাবে পরিচিত। এখানে রয়েছে বিভিন্ন জাতির সন্নিবেশ, উচ্চ জীবনযাপনের সুযোগ এবং বৈচিত্র্যময় শহরের জীবনযাত্রা। তাই বিশ্বের বিভিন্ন দেশ থেকে প্রচুর পর্যটক এখানে ছুটে আসে হৃদয়ের টানে, ব্যবসা বাণিজ্য এবং পর্যটক কেন্দ্র হিসাবে। এমনি এক হৃদয়ের আকর্ষণে প্রকৌশলী মাহমুদ আলম, সহকারী প্রকৌশলী CMMU, যাহার জন্ম বাউলের তীর্থভূমি কুষ্টিয়ার লক্ষ্মীপুর গ্রামে, ছুটে গিয়েছিলেন সিঙ্গাপুরে এক ব্যক্তিগত সফরে 15 নভেম্বর 2008 হইতে 20 নভেম্বর 2008 পর্যন্ত মোট 6 দিন। ঘুরে ফিরে দেখেন সিঙ্গাপুরের সেন্টোসা দ্বীপপুঞ্জ, পাখির পার্ক, উদ্যান, উডল্যান্ড এলাকা, সিটি হল, রেফ্লেক্স প্যালেস, ফেরার পার্ক, চায়না টাউন, লিটল ইন্ডিয়া, মোস্তফা মার্কেট, মেরিনা বে, হারবার ফ্রন্ট সহ অসংখ্য স্থান। সিঙ্গাপুর ভ্রমণের জন্য সাদর আমন্ত্রণ সকল। হাইটেক ও ভূস্বর্গ সিঙ্গাপুর, ভিন্ন জীবনের অমৃত সুধার নাম সিঙ্গাপুর।
Singapore, a city of gardens and the heart of Southeast Asia. Where the Singapore River enters the sea is the Merlion, symbol of the city. Legend has it that at the beginning of the 14th century, Prince Naila Utama of Sumatra landed on this island and spotted a lion in a dense forest. From that time, Singapore's been called Lion Town. The neat and tidy restaurants along Boat Quay look minute compared to the skyscrapers of the financial centre. As the city continues to expand, this melting pot of nations has an ever-changing skyline. Here, more than 50 restaurants offer both local and international cuisine of the finest quality. The history of Singapore began in 1819 with Stamford Raffles, a young official who worked for the British East India Company. During a journey by bumboat, it's interesting to recall the history of this city-state on the southern tip of Malaysia. Raffles estimated that the natural harbour was perfect for trading ships. He bought the land from the Sultan of Johor and founded a trading settlement here. Now the English had access to the Southeast Asian region, which until that time had been in the hands of the Dutch colonial powers. As a free port, Singapore attracted trading ships from all over the world, and more people settled on this tropical island. Today, 4 million people live here on an area that covers 640 square kilometres. In June each year, there's an exciting boat race in Marina Bay, with participants from all over the world. It's known as the Dragon Boat Race. In magnificently painted dragon boats with hand-carved heads and tails, the well-rehearsed contestants row around the course to the sound of wild drum beats. Finally, victory is celebrated by the sound of a military big band. Where once ginger nut and nutmeg grew, today impressive buildings dominate the scene. This impressive metropolis has developed at a rapid pace, from jungle to world city, in only 200 years. Dating back to colonial times, British influence is omnipresent, whether the cricket club or the parliament. Traditional English spirit rules, despite Singapore's independence. Orchard Road is the city's most elegant shopping street. Department stores and exclusive boutiques mingle with numerous street vendors and flower sellers. The world-famous Raffles Hotel is situated in the Colonial District near to the Singapore River. Gleaming white and impressive, the Grand Old Lady of the East. In 1991, this luxurious hotel, with its two-story arcades, was reopened following extensive renovation. Exclusive boutiques, jewellery and art shops, and also a large, peaceful inner courtyard enrich the old yet noble hotel decor, which once greeted dukes, kings and presidents. In the Ashanti bar, it was customary to throw expired peanut shells directly onto the floor and, at the same time, to reverently sip a Singapore Sling, the national drink created by Guy Buffett. There are large numbers of blossoms in the orchid garden. Each variety of orchid is grown here, and in a small pond, Japanese koi carp enjoy their cool environment. Constant daytime temperature of 30 degrees centigrade and an air humidity of 80% are ideal for these plants. The Singapore Zoo is one of the finest anywhere in the world. Instead of being caged, the animals can roam freely because their territory is surrounded by a landscaped ditch. Approximately 2,800 animals live in the spacious enclosures, and even those from cold regions can be observed both below and above water, thanks to cleverly designed viewing areas. Feeding time for all the animals is always entertaining. The seals salute in respect, and pelicans nonchalantly collect their food without having to perform a single stunt. The spacious enclosures provide the animals with a wonderful living area that blends in perfectly with the tropical vegetation. The exemplary Open Zoo also has a successful breeding program. The animals take obvious pleasure in being occupied. During the half-hourly animal shows, Further of the zoo's inhabitants are also introduced to the public. A small train transports visitors from one continent to another. One section of the zoo is called Wild Africa, with lions, zebras and rhinoceros. But many other animals from all corners of the globe have found a pleasant and happy home here. Elephants perform daredevil stunts as if they'd always been great performers, and the seals are reminders of many a circus act. Naturally, a tropical rainstorm is also a part of a day at the zoo, but the animals aren't concerned. Calmly, they wait for the sun to reappear. Today, Chinatown is hemmed in between skyscrapers. Since 1819, those who emigrated from China have become Singapore's largest community. In spite of a new face, age-old traditions have remained intact, and the smell of incense continues to stimulate the senses. Temples and shrines are characteristic of this quarter, and it's also a popular location for wedding photographs. In the narrow, winding alleyways and lively markets, there's still a strong ambience of old China. The Sri Mariamman Temple is the city's oldest Hindu temple and is situated in the centre of Chinatown. The holy building is decorated with many carvings and coloured sculptures. Accompanied by traditional music, weddings are celebrated here almost daily, along with the participation of the entire family. The innumerable roofs of Hindu temples founded in 1827 are also decorated with colourful figures that illustrate the rich history of Indian mythology. The traditional area of the city, Little India, is incredibly evocative, with a pungent aroma of curry and other exotic spices. The streets here are more colourful than anywhere else in Singapore. Industrious Indians were especially valued as good workers during colonial times. This cultural community is now packed with shops and restaurants. In the Arab Street quarter, the city's Muslim inheritance is apparent. The majority of its inhabitants are Malays, Arabs and Islamic Indians. Here there are mosques, women wear burqas or headscarves, and there's all the hustle and bustle of a bazaar. Living in conditions similar to their natural habitat, the Jurong Bird Park features over 5,000 birds from many different regions. In ideal living conditions and within the largest free-flying enclosure in the world, there are more than 400 varieties, all lovingly cared for by expert keepers. The largest bird park in Southeast Asia, with a tropical forest, waterfall, artificial rain and angry storms. Each contributes to a natural and secure environment for its many inhabitants, just as though they were in the wild. But here, they're totally free from danger. Several birds of prey can also be admired in the exceptional display of feathered creatures of the Jurong Bird Park. Near to the bird park is the Chinese Garden, a spaciously designed landscape that provides a pleasant contrast to the hectic life of the city. This is a sanctuary of inner peace and gentle meditation. At its entrance, there's a typical Chinese structure with its inner courtyard and circular walkways. Small lakes and traditional red pavilions punctuate the enormous garden, and the multi-story watchtower located on a small hill is visible from any direction. There's a monument of the philosopher Confucius, which is meant to convey the inner values of the garden. A tower forms the center of the structure, the top of which can be reached by a winding stairway. Over red bowed bridges, the Chinese garden joins seamlessly with a Japanese garden. Numerous stone altars border the path through the water landscapes that are designed according to Japanese tradition. The journey through the tropical forest to the town hill of Mount Faber doesn't take very long. From the top of the hill, a cable car travels across the harbour to Sentosa Island, which was built as a fortress by the British and later transformed to a huge entertainment and leisure park. In the holiday paradise of Singapore, nothing is left to chance. Everything is highly organised for the hordes of visitors who come here to spend their leisure moments each weekend. History lessons are given under the auspices of an exhibition. In realistic surroundings, numerous life-sized figures recount tales of how the city became established, of its trading agreements and daily life. And the signatures of various peace treaties with the Japanese are also on display. The 35-metre-high figure of Merlion is the symbol of Singapore. Half lion, half fish, it stands guard over both the city and the harbour. In the cellars of this massive fantasy structure, children can enjoy treasure hunts. The view through the dizzy heights of Merlion's gaping mouth is always a big adventure for all. Ingeniously laid out garden structures with playful water sculptures and dragon fountains are enthusiastically chosen by visitors as backgrounds to their photos, with, of course, Merlion as a constant backdrop. Directly behind Merlion is the Secret Garden. This garden contains fountains that spurt constantly changing jets of coloured water in all directions. And this is rather unpredictable. A sudden shower can sometimes cause an unwanted surprise. Fantasy Island is a gigantic water play area. In Asia Village, various dwellings and traditions can be seen, and an atmospheric riverboat circumnavigates the island. Under the cover of a large net, over 2,500 beautifully coloured butterflies flutter from flower to flower in the Butterfly Park. To discover more of the island, there's a monorail. It goes past sandy beaches that inspire both water sports and sublime relaxation. And it also travels at tree height through tropical jungle. Past a Malaysian village and modern stations that are built on central points, to a South Seas settlement with its authentic straw huts. Past the old British Siloso fort to the world-famous underwater world that contains more than 5,000 creatures of the sea. A glass tunnel and conveyor belt connect two massive aquariums, eye to eye with sharks, rays, Murray eels and other fish, without getting wet. Asia's largest oceanarium is a perfect underwater adventure. Singapore, an exotic city of skyscrapers. Near to the bird park is the Chinese Garden, a spaciously designed landscape that provides a pleasant contrast to the hectic life of the city. This is a sanctuary of inner peace and gentle meditation. At its entrance, there's a typical Chinese structure with its inner courtyard and circular walkways. Small lakes and traditional red pavilions punctuate the enormous garden. The multi-story watchtower located on a small hill is visible from any direction. There's a monument of the philosopher Confucius, which is meant to convey the inner values of the garden. A tower forms the center of the structure, the top of which can be reached by a winding stairway. Over red bowed bridges, the Chinese garden joins seamlessly with a Japanese garden. Numerous stone altars border the path through the water landscapes that are designed according to Japanese tradition. The journey through the tropical forest to the town hill of Mount Faber doesn't take very long. From the top of the hill, a cable car travels across the harbour to Sentosa Island, which was built as a fortress by the British and later transformed to a huge entertainment and leisure park. In the holiday paradise of Singapore, nothing is left to chance. Everything is highly organised for the hordes of visitors who come here to spend their leisure moments each weekend.